Islanders, that was close. We almost had a major cruise ship here in the United States fail a CDC inspection. They passed the inspection by one point. We're going to share with you all the details on the show today. We're also sharing news of a husband and wife on their honeymoon. They're in Cozumel. They're walking back to the ship when the wife loses something in the water. The wind comes, blows something in the water. The husband jumps off the pier to save the item. We will share that. And we'll also share some news. Probably the most famous captain in the entire cruise industry is calling it quits. We have a lot to discuss. We all need some time on the islands. Let's go there now on Island Time. Hey, big happy Tuesday to all you Islanders. I hope that you're having a great day. We're on Island Time. I'm your host, Derek. Let's drop our anchors and take some time to relax in the islands together, catching up on the latest in cruise news. At the top of the show today, I want to say thank you. Over the weekend, we reached a milestone, 31,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much from Amanda and I, and we will continue to move forward, hoping to hit 32 and 50 and 100K if the good Lord allows us to do so. We appreciate that. Let's jump into the cruise news and talk about a big story here, an interesting story about cruise ship inspections. They happen from time to time. They are completely random. Cruise lines, they don't get a warning. Hey, next week, the CDC is going to be on board and they're going to inspect your ship. So make sure everything is clean. Make sure everything's put away as it should be. They don't receive that advance warning. Instead, it's a knock, bam, 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 at the door. Hello, we're here to inspect your ship in the current condition as it stands. You can't go grab everything and put it in the closet like you do sometimes when strangers come to your house. You got to sit there and take it. Whether it's good and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, or it's bad, you're doing things probably not the best that you could do them, you've got to take it. It's an inspection. And cruise ships have them from time to time. Royal Caribbean has only had one inspection in all of 2025. That's on the Symphony of the Seas, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. The Symphony of the Seas, a big ship, right? She's an Oasis-class ship. She is large. She's in charge. She provides so much fun for her guests. She had a ship inspection February the 9th, 2025. In order to pass the inspection, you have to receive an 85 out of 100. An 85 is a high score. That's a very high score. It's a B+. There's a lot of times I don't get 85% on my test on inspections. What happened to C's get degrees? That's not the case in the cruise world. You got to make the 85. Otherwise, you've really got some issues. The Symphony of the Seas underwent the inspection. This whole team of people from the CDC, they come on board. They check the food area. Are you keeping the food as cold as you should? Is it in the freezer? Is it in the fridge? Is it laid out somewhere? How's the water? Is the water area clean? Is it not clean? How are storage areas? How clean are cabins? They check every part of the ship. Ventilation and casinos and water in the hot tubs and the pools. Everything. They inspect everything. And you don't have to be perfect to receive a score of 100. You can still receive a 100 and get some feedback from the CDC. They always leave feedback, whether you get 100 or you get an 86. But this inspection by the CDC, they had some different things to say. One of the big findings was that the reporting from the kids area, they had kids that were throwing up. They had kids that had diarrhea. We don't want that, especially on a cruise. And Royal Caribbean failed to report this and keep a log of things as they should have. They also had different issues with food being left in areas where it's not being as cold as it should be. There was water pooling up. There were soap dispensers broken. There was a whole list of things. Matter of fact, I'll put the link to the findings from the CDC in the description of this video, and you can go to it and you can see the list of things that the CDC found. Now, what does this mean? Does it mean that the Symphony of the Seas cannot sail? No. The CDC provides this feedback, and the ship, the crew members, the managers, things like that, make sure that the feedback gets implemented, and I promise you they will be watching their crew closely to make sure that they're doing the things they're supposed to be doing. Now, I want to point out for the Symphony of the Seas, this is a one-off. The cruise ship, as all cruise ships, is tested from time to time. In November of 2023, the ship received a 97. In October of 22, she received a perfect 100. And at the same time, she's not the only ship to receive a score in the 80s. The Carnival Miracle scored in 88. In April 2024, the MSC Magnifica received an 86 in 2024, May of 2024. So she's not the only one to receive a lower score. And I can promise you that Royal Caribbean and those management positions and those officers on board are going to make sure that those recommendations by the CDC are put into practice. There's some people, when ships receive lower inspection scores, they move or cancel their cruise. I've not had any client yet reach out about the Symphony of the Seas, and hopefully they don't. The ship is safe to sail. I would get on the ship right now. But there's some people who say, you know what? There's too many cruise ships out there to choose that are getting scores in the 90s and 100. I'm not going with the one with the 86. Would this matter to you if you had a cruise booked on the Symphony of the Seas? Would this matter? Would you move your cruise? Would you get on board and start looking at things like, hey, that is dirty over there? That's been sitting there a long time. Would this bother you at all? Let us know in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. Let's talk about this story of a husband and wife on their honeymoon. They just got married. It's their first cruise. They're having a great time. We've all been down the pier, especially in Cozumel, walking down the pier, and you feel that wind. It's like when you're on land, you're okay. But once you get on that water, on the pier, walking back, you better hold your towels. You better hold your hats, your sunglasses, your beach bags, and maybe even your little kids too. Because the wind is blowing, and it will blow things into the water. I've seen it with my own eyes. And usually when this happens, I feel bad because something is blown into the water. It's polluting the water, even if it's a towel, let's say. But it's like, man, I wish I could go get that. I've never had the urge to do the old cannonball and jump into the water and save the item. But that's exactly what happened in this story with this husband and wife. They were on the Carnival Valor. They're visiting Cozumel. They got married in January of 2025. They're on their cruise. And maybe they don't know the norms of cruising. Maybe when this happened, they didn't know you're not supposed to do this. But they were walking in the wife's hat. And I can imagine, you guys have seen those hats, right? Hats that the ladies wear. They're big old beach hats, and they wave. Some of them have waves in them, and words and ribbons and all kinds of stuff. Well, her hat blew into the water, blew off her head, straight up, gone. And most people in that instance would have said, oh my goodness, you lost your hat. We're going to get you another one on board. But this man, a new husband, maybe still trying to prove himself. I'm dedicated to my woman. I'm loyal to my woman. I'll do anything for you, babe. You lost your hat. I'm going to get it. He jumps off the pier. He gets the hat. There's people watching on the pier, and they're in Cozumel, Mexico. You can imagine when someone goes into the water, did they do that on purpose or did they fall? We're in Cozumel, okay? Let's be honest here. Can they swim? Do we need to yell for help? Are they in a sober state or a drunk state? We're in Cozumel. But there were bystanders on a pier. There were bystanders on a cruise ship. I'll show the video here. You saw it. Yeah, the guy got some applause, and he got the hat. The hat, though, was some sort of special hat that the wife had worn or used in the wedding. So it wasn't just a typical beach hat. It was something that was important to her. And he said, I got you, babe. I got you. This is dangerous to do, though. I do not recommend anyone doing this. Like I said, it was their first cruise. Maybe he didn't know that the red line means stop. He went past it. I don't recommend this for anyone. Sometimes these waters are shallow. You can jump in sometimes from 15 feet high, and you land in water that's just a few feet deep. There can be sharp rocks there as well. The water could be deep, and there could be currents that you don't know about. I don't recommend you do this. But to the man that did this in this story, kudos to you. way to be there for your woman. You got the hat, you got the round of applause, and everything turned out the way it should have been. What an act of love here. And I'm sure they'll never forget on their honeymoon in Cozumel, Mexico. And they will point to the spot every time because we know that they're hooked on cruising by now. They'll be in Cozumel and say, this is where I jumped off for you, baby. Do you remember that? You remember that love I had for you? Oh, my goodness. I love that story, and kudos to that guy. And for that girl, keep him around, you know. And let's close the show with this today. Captains and crew members are famous for different reasons. There's some of them that have social media accounts. There's some of them that really just go out of their way when you're on board. and they become legendary. They become the salt of the earth. And this is exactly what I'm talking about with Captain Kate McCune, who has worked for Royal Caribbean Group, particularly recently in their Celebrity Cruises brand. She's like probably the most well-known captain in the entire industry. She was the first female to be the captain of a mega ship, a cruise ship. She has a huge following on social media. Her Instagram account has almost 1 million followers. She's famous for her cat, which she recently lost. She'd post videos of her cat. Her cat lived with her on board. She's calling it quits. And it sounds like she's calling it quits like right now. She's not saying, hey, after this contract or at the end of the year I will be done. It sounds like it's effective immediately. Here's what she had to say. Captain Kate, most recently captain on the Celebrity Beyond. Today I say farewell to celebrity. That's like today. I'm done. I've spent the last 22 years on 11 ships in the Royal Caribbean Group. From second officer to captain, I have seen some of the most beautiful places, met inspiring and wonderful people, and had opportunities to live my 12-year-old dream out loud. How about that statement? She dreamed of being a captain at 12. She's lived it out loud. Why is she leaving? We don't really know. I don't think anything would have happened between her and Celebrity or Royal Caribbean Group. I don't think it's anything like that. She also gives some insight here, but she also leaves us teasing us of what's going to happen. You might be wondering why I am leaving. Simply put, life has an incredible way of reminding us what's important and changing up priorities. I've recently had some big life changes, and this just happens to be one of those. Are my sailing days over? Absolutely not. I've got too much salt in my veins to leave the sea behind. A lot of people have floated around the idea maybe she's going to be on one of the shows like Below Deck or a private yacht show where she gets to run the yacht. There's a small crew and you're entertaining upscale rich guests. That would be fun. And she loves social media, so maybe she is going to do something more where she could be in the spotlight and share kind of her knowledge and skills. I would like that. I would watch that show. But I love the way she ended. She ended her quote and her thoughts. I've got too much salt in my veins to leave the sea behind. That needs to be back here somewhere. I've got too much salt in my veins to leave the sea behind. I feel that way every day. I feel that way. And I have a feeling that many of you feel the same. Do you feel like you have salt in your veins, that you have that longing and urging to be on the water? It's not just the cruise ship itself. It's not the great drink that you can go get, the awesome food, the entertainment. But when you're standing on your balcony, or you're standing on a public deck, looking out on the big blue ocean, and you're reminded of how small you are in this whole thing that we call Earth, and you think, man, this is pretty magnificent. I do that every single time I cruise, and after 35 plus cruises, it never, ever gets old. Do you agree with Captain Kate? Let us know. We may have to do something with that saying. Do we have any woodworkers? Do we have any artists? We're going to have a redo of the studio. We'll have a whole show about that, an announcement about that. But I would love to put that up there and give credit to Captain Kate. Islanders, I can't wait to see your thoughts on the show today. We'll see them in the comments section below. We'll see you on our Facebook page and all of you tomorrow right here on Island Time.